Okay, this is it, January 28th. Oh God, end of January already. Welcome. This is Technology Drop-In Thursdays. We are going to be talking about some cool stuff today, as we always do. And one of the first things I want to do is I want to talk about some of the training opportunities that are coming up. I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. And as I always just share the whole screen rather than sections of it. Part of that is because we always end up switching back and forth between apps. And if you just share one screen and you have to switch from to a different app, then you have to stop sharing and start sharing. So I always go ahead and do this. So next week, we're going to have our first ever faculty technology showcase. So we've got 4 of our faculty members are going to be basically doing a show and tell of some of the technology that they're using and how they're applying it for their teaching. Then we'll be going into breakout rooms afterwards. And then that way, if you've got more detailed questions, you can chat with the guys that way. So if I don't have any calendar invite for you or anything like that, just Tuesday from 3 to 4, start promptly at 3. And there's the Google Meet link. It's also in the our Microsoft Teams group, so you can find the link there as well. A reminder that also our Make Me Tech Savvy series of sessions is out, and we've got coming this week on Friday. I've got working with Microsoft Onedrive. So if you've kind of played with it, you know, if you want, it's only in 1 hour. Come and see. There's some other tips in there. I'm sure that you probably haven't realized. I've been discovering stuff even over the last couple of months of things that I'd never thought about before and how to apply them. So, I mean, come on and check that out. Tuesday, becoming more efficient with Microsoft Outlook and Teams. If you haven't taken that session, that's one session I think everyone should take as a mandatory, because there's so many great time-saving tricks in there and stuff. So it's definitely worth your time. I'm not going to go through the rest of the sessions, but mcEwen.ca/make-me-tech-savvy is where you'll find the list of all the upcoming courses. New stuff today. There is now a plugin that allows you to take a Microsoft Team video link and add it to Google Calendar. So we're all aware of how we can use Outlook, and we can either include an Outlook, a Microsoft Teams link. We can include a Webex link. We can include a Google Meet link, all from within Outlook. It's because there's all these different plugins and add-ins. Microsoft has created one for Google Calendar. So when you create a new calendar event, so I'm just going to do this right here. Go into here real quick. What will happen is there's this drop-down menu. By default, it's Google Meet, but I can now select Microsoft Teams. So that's going to be kind of handy. Also, as an aside, it doesn't have to be a work account and a calendar. So what I mean by that is I could, on my personal calendar, go and put this plugin in. When I log into for Microsoft Teams, I could actually use my Microsoft Teams work account for that plugin. So sometimes I do put stuff in my personal calendar, but it might be work related, and I still use the work version of Microsoft Teams. So rather than having to create 2 different Microsoft accounts and stuff like that, you can still use your work account with your personal Google Calendar. So that's going to be handy. I like that, and I use that quite a bit. As much as I love Google, I'm telling you, I'm really liking Microsoft Teams. So that's one thing I wish Google would pick up their sleeves on and do some work. Here's a kind of a PSA for you guys. I've been having some problems with the desktop app with Microsoft Teams. I get memory problems or something like that going in. Not me, the Microsoft, the computer. So sometimes I will find that I can't share a screen. My video might not work. The audio might sound like pathetic. What you can do is just remember, we do have the browser version. So at any time I could go into here. If I go to Outlook or wherever, or else the other shortcut once you're logged in is portal.office.com, I can go in and see all my Microsoft stuff, and I can also start a Teams session there as well. So you'll find Teams listed in there. You can also use just teams.microsoft.com, which is typically what I do. And it's basically the same application or the same interface. It's just it's done in the browser as opposed to your desktop app. And sometimes that screen sharing or that microphone problem or whatever just works fine in the browser. You just maybe need to restart your computer, get the desktop part to work. So that's the PSA for that one. I think we talked about this before, but you can also switch between your devices in Microsoft Teams. And what I mean by that is my mobile device, I can actually join into this video call right now. So I'm going to try this. I haven't done it with a bunch of other people on, but when I join in, and you can't see it, so I'll tell you what it is. But I have a choice of either adding this device or transferring to this device, meaning I'm going to stop using the desktop app, going to use the phone, and then, maybe I have to go drive somewhere. I can still listen in on whatever the conversation is. In this case, I'm going to try adding this device. This will be the first time I've done this. So in theory, I've just added it. And in theory, I should be able to turn on a second camera, which is kind of nice because now I could go in, and as you can see now, you can now see the backward facing. Can you guys see my camera? Thumbs up if you can. No one can see it? Nope. Well, yeah, Dave, is that a thumbs up? I didn't see it. Okay. So now you can see what's, there's my dog sitting there. He's my coach there all the time. So you can have, two cameras running, from two different devices. Webex, oh, this has finally happened. Webex now has the ability to not only create these breakout rooms, but allow users to go from one room to the other. So instead of my having to assign people to different breakout rooms, I could actually create breakout rooms with different themes or different topics, and then each user can themselves can pick and choose what room they want to go in. I think that's going to be really cool, as opposed to being able to spend so much time, us as the Webex owner going in and assigning the people into those proper rooms. Now they can just go into whichever topic they're interested in. So that's going to be a really big thing. And the location of that is just the same as where Breakout Rooms was before. So at the top, you'll see a little link that says Breakout Rooms. You click on it, and it just allows you to choose which room you want to join in. That is a setting when you first start Webex. So just remember that you need to set that ahead of time before you start your breakout rooms. Okay. What else we got? So I'm going to talk a little bit about Excel today. We've talked about spreadsheets before in the past with Google. I'm going to show you a couple of the same kind of features that are in Excel. I ran across something earlier this week. Some people were trying to filter and stuff in Excel, and they were having some problems. So I thought let's just kind of address this. First thing I want to show you though is I often need to make a list of data to play with to demonstrate. I obviously don't want to use McEwen data, student data and stuff like that. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time typing in fake names and stuff like that. There's actually this great website called Mockaroo. And Mockaroo basically says, hey, I will make you a whole list of whatever you want, and it will make up stuff. So here by default, I have ID, first name, last name, email, gender. And I can go in here and actually pick what kind of information that I want. So let's say I want to do maybe a company. So there's a company name. So it'll throw some names in there, and I'll just have to change the heading here. So company, and then under the address here, maybe I'll do location, and in here I'll just pick various cities. Let's see, location, and we'll go city. So I can now download it. I also say how many rows I want. I can download it. I can also just do a quick preview, and there I can see all these bunch of names, these emails that it's made up, companies that it's made up, locations that it's made up. Sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not. So it's kind of nice that you can have that data to work with, so you can play around with stuff. So here's what I've done is I've created this this list of names and stuff, and I wanted to show you about filtering and stuff. So as we've talked about in the past, just like in any spreadsheet app, if I only select this cell and then go and hit the filter and filter it, or sort it, sorry, what's going to happen is if I sort and only select this, only this data gets sorted. So everything else here can get corrupted. So I always say to people, don't sort your original data unless you really know what you're doing. Because I find so many people go, oh, I'm only interested in first name, last name, and country. I'm going to sort by country. So they only pick those three. They don't pick the last item, and they do a sort, and then all the data gets corrupted. So I've got the filter in there. Filter allows me to do that. It also allows me some sorting and stuff. But what I want to show you that's really cool is this thing under view. So I can create different views, which is basically just a different way of looking at that same set of data. It doesn't actually change the data. The original data stays the same. It just looks at it in a different way. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a new view. So by default, it's a temporary view. But in this view, I'm going to select all my data and I'm going to say, well, I've got that information there. I'm going to go into here and I'm going to do my filtering here. And I get these drop downs, just like I would before. When I go and choose something here, I can choose filters. I can also choose sorting. So you can do both the things at the same time. So I might decide, you know what, I am going to sort here by first name. So we'll just go into my, sort here. So we'll sort ascending. So there we're starting with Abby and that. But you know what, I only want to see the people that are in Japan. So I'm going to go over to here and I'm going to take my filter, and then you can use equal or contains. That's a trick, is there's contains. So sometimes there's maybe one word out of a phrase in there that you want to tag onto. That's a great way of doing it. I'm going to use contains here, and I'll just put in United. Let's do Japan, just to keep it simple. And there's my filter. Now this is like a report. So I might use this again and again, as more names get added and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep this report, and it's going to say, well, what do you want to call it? Oh, it's called view 1, but I'm going to call it Japan. When I go back to the view and I exit here, there's my data the way it originally was. Now I'm going to look at my view, and there's the view of that data as I set it out. So your original data never gets corrupted. It's always the same, but you can still get everything organized here. And this is really important because people tend to go in and try and sort data so that they have what they want at the top and stuff. What you actually want to use is a filter to get rid of everything else that you don't want, display only what you do want. Last thing about this is that's handy with the view is if I was sharing this sheet with everybody, and I went and just did the filtering without the using the views and stuff like that, it would change for everyone who's accessing this file at the same time. So if you're trying to do work and all of a sudden all you're seeing is a list of Japan lists and you're working on Philippines, that's going to throw you off. But the moment that I create this view here, that's only going to apply to me. So it doesn't affect anybody else. And this view gets saved with a document, so that anybody else comes in that needs to use the Japan view, either at the same time or at a different time, can also make use of those views. So these spreadsheet views, whether you use it in Google or Excel, really, really powerful tools. Any questions? I see a hand up or a question here. Fun fact. Okay, that fun fact has nothing to do with the session, but thanks, Tim. All right, that's really all I've got for today as far as show and tell. Does anyone have any questions or anything they want to bring up? Okay, I'm going to turn the recording off. That'll be it for today. If you guys want to stick around, I'm here for a while, and we can just chat and visit and talk about other challenges.